Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's Hangout on Air. My name is Katie, and I am joined by my colleagues Leo and Sally. We are on the AdWords team here at Google in our Mountain View headquarters. Today, we're going to be talking about upgraded URLs. I'm sure you guys have heard some buzz about that over the past couple of weeks, so we're going to be going over that in detail. Before we jump in, do you guys want to give just a quick intro?
Sure. Hey, guys. I'm Leo Say. I'm the product manager for Upgraded URL and other AdWords features for the power users.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sally, and I'm the global product expert on AdWords interfaces.
Perfect. Well, we're very excited to have you guys here today. They are experts on everything upgraded URLs. Before we jump into explaining this, also know that you can leave questions for us if you're watching from the Google Plus page. There's a question and answer app there. If you don't see it, make sure that you are watching from the Google Plus page and not YouTube. Also know that we are recording this and it will be posted live so that you guys can watch it again. If you have any questions, send it to friends who might also be interested in what we're talking about today. So let's get started. Like I said, we're talking about upgraded URLs. We're going to be covering a couple of different topics today. We'll start with an overview of upgraded URLs, what they are, the benefit, and then we'll also go into the different types of URLs that you might be upgrading and the various options. So I'll pass it over to Leo, who will get us started.
Thanks, Katie. So let's start with a little bit of history. When AdWords was created, the web was very different. And what people put in their destination URL was really the landing page the user was supposed to go to. Fast forward to today, a lot of people are doing a lot of tracking on their ad performance, and that's great. But putting it at the destination URL can sometimes be cumbersome because you have to go into every ad to change your tracking, or because it confuses and mixes the information about the landing page with the tracking. So to improve this, we've launched Upgraded URL. The goal of Upgraded URL is to separate the landing page information from the tracking template. So we created a new field called Final URL, which is supposed to contain the landing page information, the information about what is the user experience for your ad, and a tracking template, which is the tracking information, the things that you want to measure. With this new tracking template, you can now share this information across an entire ad group, campaign, or even account. And that makes your tracking management very easy. It also helps us understand what is the tracking information and what is the actual landing page information. And that helps us qualify your ad with less scrolling on your website. We also launched a new set of value track with those upgraded URL to help you measure even more things like keyword, remarketing lists, or even the geolocation of the user. We actually did a little video to summarize, so let's roll the video, please.
In AdWords, your destination URLs can be used to track important information about your ad performance, such as the keyword or device which triggered a conversion. We're changing the way you manage your tracking URLs through a new feature called Upgraded URLs. With Upgraded URLs, you'll have separate fields in AdWords for distinct parts of your URL. The final URL, which takes customers to your landing page, and the tracking template, which contains your tracking information. With upgraded URLs, you can now manage your tracking information in a central location using shared tracking templates. You'll be able to quickly make changes in one place and apply those changes across your entire account, campaigns, or ad groups. This saves time and helps you manage your tracking updates at scale. Of course, you'll still be able to manage your tracking information at the individual level using keyword, ad, or site link level templates. With destination URLs, anytime you adjusted your tracking information, your ads would stop running while your URL was re-reviewed, causing you to potentially lose business, and your ad stats would reset. Now, with upgraded URLs, your ads and stats keep running when you make tracking adjustments using the shared tracking templates. We're also giving you powerful new ways to gain additional insight into your ad performance using new value track parameters. For example, you'll be able to monitor how many conversions you received from people on your remarketing list, or which location served up the most clicks. For more detailed steps on how to begin using upgraded URLs, please visit our upgrade guide.
Perfect. That was a great intro, Leo. Thanks for that detailed information. So now that we know a little bit about the benefits of upgraded URLs and why this change is happening, I think the next question is, how can we actually go about upgrading our ads and keywords, and what is the process for that? So Sally's going to take it away with some details on that.
Yep, thanks, Katie. So in today's Hangout, we'll actually be covering the upgrade options for two main types of URLs. So in the first half of the Hangout, we'll be covering the upgrade options for URLs that are using tracking but no cross-domain redirects. So just to give you some idea of what these URLs look like, we have some examples here. So the first example is URLs that are using tracking parameters. So as you see in this example, we're using the creative parameter to track the ad that triggered the click. This type also includes URLs that are using manually added on-site analytics tagging. So here we have an example of a UTM source tag. It also includes URLs that are using on-domain redirects. So what we mean by on-domain redirects is that the user is taken to a landing page on one domain and then redirected to another page on the same domain. So the domain remains the same. So this is the URLs that use tracking but no cross-domain redirects. Now in the second half of the Hangout, we'll be covering the upgrade options for URLs that are using cross-domain redirects. So some common examples of what these URLs are those that are using click trackers or campaign managers. By cross-domain, what we mean is that the URL takes a user to a page on one domain, but it is redirected to a page on another domain. So you see some examples here. Now, if you're an advertiser that's using a click tracker or a campaign manager or any other tools to help manage your accounts, then definitely speak with your partner and your tool provider before making any changes. This section also includes URLs that are using redirects to another top-level domain. So what we mean by that is, for example, if your URL is mywebsite.com and it redirects the user to mywebsite.co.uk, you would fall into this category as well.
Perfect. So that gives us a really great overview of some different types of URLs that you might have and upgrade methods there. But there also could potentially be a third group. If you don't have any tracking parameters, if you're not using cross-domain redirects, Sally, what do they need to do to upgrade?
Yeah, that's a great question. So if you're an advertiser that's not using any URL tracking, or if you're an advertiser that's using auto tagging for Google Analytics, you don't have to worry about any of the upgrade options that we'll go through today. You actually don't have to make any changes. You'll be eligible for the auto upgrade that'll start on July 1st. If you want to find out more information, we have the details in our upgrade guide, which you see the link to there.
Perfect. So we've talked about a lot of the different types of URLs that you would upgrade, but you've also mentioned a few times upgrade methods. So are there different methods that someone could use to actually upgrade these URLs?
Yeah, definitely. So we are going to go through the upgrade methods, basic and advanced. So by basic upgrade, what we mean is that during the upgrade, you're essentially not making any changes to your current destination URL, but you're reorganizing them into a final URL and a tracking template at the same level. So what we mean by that is, for example, if you're upgrading your ad level URL, you'll be using the final URL and the tracking template at the ad level. And the end result, by combining the tracking template and the final URL, will look exactly identical to your original destination URL. So since this is the case, we won't require a re-review of your ads, and your stats will remain exactly as is. However, after the upgrade, if you are to make any future edits to your tracking template or your final URL, this is definitely considered an edit to your ad, so it will re-trigger ad reviews and reset your stats. Alternatively, we have the advanced upgrade option. So with this option, we're actually going to create a shared tracking template. And what we mean by a shared tracking template are the tracking templates available at the account, campaign, and ad group level because it applies to the URLs in that account, campaign, and ad group. And so what this process entails is we're going to be removing the tracking portion of your URL, let's say from your ad, and moving it up to a higher level so that it can be part of the shared tracking template. And in this process, you can also add new value track or create custom parameters. And we'll show you a little bit more in detail what this looks like. And since this is editing your ad, unlike the basic upgrade, it will re-trigger ad review and reset your stats. However, a key thing to remember, which is also a main benefit of this upgrade method, is that any future edits to your shared tracking template won't re-trigger ad reviews or reset your ad stats. So you might be wondering, okay, basic and advanced, what should I go for? I think the thing to think about here is if you make frequent edits to your tracking information, then the advanced upgrade might be a better solution for you in the long run. However, if you don't make frequent edits to your tracking information, then the basic upgrade could also be a great option.
Perfect. Thanks so much for that overview, Sally. So just to recap, we've talked about so far the different types of URLs that you might have as an advertiser and the various upgrade methods. So you should have a sense at this point which group you kind of fall into. Do you have tracking parameters in your URLs? Do you have cross-domain redirects or not? So have a sense in your mind of which method you're going to be using. And now we're going to go through examples of each. So we're going to go ahead and start with the basic upgrade for URLs without cross-domain redirects.
Great. So here we'll go through an example of a basic upgrade for URLs with tracking, but no cross-domain redirects. So just to do a quick recap, the benefits of this upgrade method is that you get to keep that URL exactly the same, and you can also keep your performance stats. So Leo's actually going to show you in your account how this can be done.
Cool. Thanks, Sally. So yeah, let's look in practice. How does that look? And I'll be using for the demo the bulk upload tool of AdWords, but know that you can use any other tool that you regularly use, like AdWords Editor. One of the main differences with AdWords Editor is that you're able to change your ad, keyword, and site link in one go. In the AdWords interface, you have to do this in 3 phases. I'll start with the ad, but I'll show you briefly how to do it for keywords and site links. So here I have 3 ads. I'm going to show you that they're on destination URL. And you can see that I have at the end of my URL a little bit of tracking for the network, for the UTM source. And I have something here about the type of discount that I'm giving. And we'll look at this more in detail a little bit later. So what I want to do here, and the first step, is to download the spreadsheet of my ad. So I go in the Edit menu, and I click the Download Spreadsheet button. I choose the format that suits me well. And for me, it's .csv, and I download this file. I can then open that file in any spreadsheet editor you want. And you can see here the full list of my 3 ads. And so here I have my 3 destination URL. And you can see here I have the final URL tracking template field in that spreadsheet. So here what I want to do is, as we just said, move the destination URL into a final URL and a tracking template. A little pro tip here is to keep the destination URL also in that file. So if you have errors, you can always reference what was there before. And we made it so that if you upload the file with the destination URL and the final URL, we'll ignore the destination URL. So you can keep it around just to troubleshoot. So let's do it. I'm going to take my destination URL. And to make things simple, I'm going to pass it in the tracking template here. And now what I want to do is take the actual landing page information part, and I'm going to replace it by the tag that's called LP URL. That's telling AdWords, can you replace this LP URL tag by what I'll put in the final URL? And so when this is done, I'll just put the final URL that I just had in my final URL field. Now let's do the same thing for my 3 destination URL. Again, I'm putting the full destination URL and tracking template. I'm taking the final URL piece here, and I'm replacing it by LP URL. And I'm taking my final URL from here, and I'm moving it here. This is the same for the third one. Again, I'm pasting it in tracking template, taking the landing page information out, replacing it with LP URL, and copying this into the final URL. Now I can save this file, and I can now go back into my AdWords account and upload it. To upload it, I'll do Edit, Upload Spreadsheet. Then I'll go and select the file I just edited, this one. And here, very important, never upload and apply unless you're 100% sure. Ad advise, you always upload and preview. Note that if you have a very large file, the preview only takes the first 200 rows. So if you have a larger file than 200 rows, note that the preview is only the first 200 rows. So here I left an error on purpose just to show you how that looks. So let's click Preview Change to see what are the errors. So if I look at the error here, it's telling me that my destination URL needs to be the same as my tracking template and final URL, exactly. And that's what Sally said. If we go back to the file that I just had, I made this on purpose to show you. If I look here at my 3 destination URL, you can see that this one only had HTTP. And the 3 final URL are all HTTPS. So the simple correction is to make sure that the combination of each final URL and tracking template is going to be exactly the same as the previous destination URL. Now that this has been fixed, I can save my file again and go back to AdWords and upload the changed file. So again, edit, upload spreadsheet. I choose my file. And again, I preview. So here we see we have 9 changes. You might wonder why 9 changes, because I had 3 ads. It's actually pretty accurate, because what it's doing for each ad is remove the destination URL and add final URL and tracking template. So if I want to apply those changes, I just go and hit the Apply Change button. Now, if I go back to my campaign, here, I can see that my ad have been upgraded and the stats are still here. So if I go look into the thing, I see now the final URL selected and the tracking template is here. So here we go. I've upgraded my ad and the stats are still here. The method for keywords and site links are very similar, but I'll just show it to you so you have it. For keywords, the only things that you need to think about is to make sure you have all the attributes of upgraded URL. So the landing page, tracking template, and eventually custom parameter are added into your column before you can go and edit, download the spreadsheet, and edit and upload the spreadsheet. The rest of the process is strictly identical. It's a little bit different for site links and other ad extension. So I'm just going to show it to you briefly how to get to the spreadsheet. For site links and other ad extension, you need to go into your shared library, business data. This is where you'll find your site link feed. As you can see here, there is no edit download spreadsheet option. So for site links, what you need to do is to download the report from the download icon. And let me show you the little action that you have to do. You need to make sure that your site link IDs are added to the table. So you need to make sure that you have that item ID here. And then you can download the file. With the site link file, there's just 2 actions to do. Sorry. Site link file, there's 2 actions to do to make it eligible for the upgrade. You need to A, remove the report title. So you can just delete that row. And add an action column. And so you just call it action. And the action is set. That's the only difference for site links. The rest is exactly the same. You see here the site link URL that you would move to site link final URL and site link tracking URL. So as we've seen, this is how to perform the basic upgrade for the ads, the keyword, and site links. It's very easy. It keeps your stats around. And I'll hand it back to Sally or Katie.
Thanks, Leo. So that was a very, very thorough explanation. Thank you so much. Just to recap again, we were just talking about the basic upgrade option for advertisers who have URLs with tracking parameters, but no cross-domain redirects. So you saw Leo gave an example of how to do that for your ads and keywords and site links. I know that those are a lot of options. So if you do have questions, let us know. And there are also very detailed instructions on our Help Center. So now we're going to move into an advanced upgrade. That was the basic upgrade option. Now we're going to go into advanced for users who, again, have tracking parameters, but no cross-domain redirect.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Katie. So as she just mentioned, these are the steps that you'll need to take to do the advanced upgrade. So just a quick recap, the main goals of this upgrade method are to set up a shared tracking template, which will apply for all URLs beneath that level. So if you're setting up an account level tracking template, then it will apply to all URLs in your account. And we'll also go through the steps on setting up custom parameters as well. So I'll hand it off to Leo again to walk you through what this would look like.
Cool. Thank you, Sally. Before walking into the demo, let's just focus for a second on that slide. If you look at the current destination URL, you see that we have that ad tracking at the end. That's really showing us what discount we're giving. And so if you remember, and you'll see it in a second, we have 3 ads with 3 discounts, one for students, one for family, and one for senior. And so if I want to move this to the account level, I still want to be able to track those variations per ad. And that's where the add custom parameter comes into place. The add custom parameter will be a little a value that you define and that you can then use in your tracking template to tell AdWords, hey, on this ad, can you use student discount, but on the other ad, use something else. Let's look at how to do this in practice. So here I am again in another campaign with the same ads. So they're still in destination URL. I still see my URL here, the tracking. And as I was saying, I have this little ad discount at the end. So what I want to do here is first download my spreadsheet. Then I open it. Okay. So now the first thing I want to do is extract the tracking information from this URL. And I want to put this into my account. So let's take this part, everything after the landing page information, and I'm copying it. And I'm going to go back in AdWords first. If I wanted to put this as high as my account level, I would go into Shared Library, URL option. That's where the tracking template is for the account. So if I set the tracking template here, it will apply to my entire account. But for this demo, I'll only put it at the campaign level. So the campaign level tracking will be in the settings section. If I go all the way down on my setting, I see campaign URL option. Let's pass the tracking I just took. And as we did earlier, I refer to my final URL with the help URL tag. You can see here that I need to replace the senior discount because I don't want to be tracking senior discount on all my ad. What I want to be tracking is what is the discount of this ad. And so I'll use what we call custom parameter. You can easily identify them. They need to start with an underscore. And so curly bracket underscore, and I'll call it discount. So now that this tracking template is saved in my account, I can go back in my ad spreadsheets and make the changes. As you know, in AdWords, when you edit an ad, it actually creates a new one. And so that's the same thing for a bulk upload. To be able to change those ads, you actually need to create 3 new ones. So let's make this. All we're going to do is copy those 3 ads and make 3 new ones. Here, for the old one, you can either mark them removed, or, little pro tip, mark them paused. Because if you mark them paused and something goes wrong, you can always reactivate them. The other thing that I need to do on those 3 new ads is to remove the ad ID that was there, because those are new ads, so they don't have ad ID. And if you don't remove this ad ID, you'll get an error when you upload. So 2 things: duplicate the ad rows, remove the ad ID on the new one, and pause or remove the existing one. Note that if you're already at the account limit and you have a lot of ads in your account, you're not going to be able to post your existing ads. So here you can either remove or do it in batches. Let's assume I only have a little bit of ads and I have enough room to create new ads. So I have those 3 new ads enabled. What I'm going to do this time is that I'm going to take my destination URL and move it to final URL. Here, I want to do 2 things. I want to remove all the tracking information, but I want to take that discount part and move it to the custom parameter. Remember, we just set a custom parameter reference in our tracking template, so we want to create the exact custom parameter here with the actual value. So this will tell AdWords, hey, for this ad, can we replace discount by actually student discount? Let's do the same thing for the other ones. I'll add the discount again, but this time with the actual value, senior discount. And then same thing for the last one. And if you have a lot, you can always add macros, use your favorite tool like Excel, and it should be very familiar and easy to manage. And here we go, the last discount value. All right. Because those are new ads, you need to make sure that they don't have a destination URL, because with the new ad, you can only set final URL. In the previous example, it was just the upgrade, so we allow you to keep the destination URL in the file, so you have it there. But in this case, because you're creating new ad, you need to remove them. So that's very important that you move them. And it's OK, because the destination URL are still here in the deleted or paused ad. So now that we've made all those changes, let's save our file and go back in AdWords. Now that we are back in our ads, let's upload that file. All right. And again, always upload and preview. All right, so here, what we can see is that it's making 3 additions and 3 changes. Let's look at what are those additions. Is updating the status of my 3 existing ads to post. That's what I wanted. That's great. And it's creating 3 new ads, which is also what I wanted. So that's great. So now we can apply those changes and go back to the campaign. And now you can see that those 3 new ads have 0 stats because they're new ads. But they have the discount custom parameter, and they have the final URL. And we can see over here the 3 post ads that we just had with their stats. Keywords and site link are a little bit different than ads, but they're actually exactly as we did for the basic upgrade, because keywords, you can just make any changes you want in that same line. So the logic I applied here on the new ad would be the logic you applied on keyword and site link within the same line.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks for that explanation, Leo. So just again, to recap and kind of transition here, we have just covered the basic and advanced upgrade for advertisers who are using tracking parameters in their URLs but do not have cross-domain redirect. So those are the 2 different upgrade methods if you fall into that group and you have those types of URLs. Now we're going to actually transition to the second type of URLs that Sally had mentioned earlier. Advertisers who use cross-domain redirects in their URLs, we're going to, again, go through the basic upgrade option and the advanced upgrade option for that.
Great. Thanks, Katie. So now we'll walk through the steps for the basic upgrade for URLs that are using cross-domain redirects. And as you can see, the main goals remain the same, even if it's for a different type of URL. The basic upgrade is useful for advertisers who want to keep the URLs exactly the same and keep all of your performance stats. So Leo's going to actually walk us through this again in detail.
Thanks
Cool.
for the demos.
I think by now you're becoming expert at how to do this in your account. But as you see in the screen, before we get into the demo, as you see in the screen, it's fairly still the same logic. If you look at your current destination URL, you have all your click tracker information before, but you still have your landing page information at the end. So this time, instead of having help URL, then your tracking, you'll have first your tracking, then help URL. Let's look at how to do this in practice. So here in my account, I can show an ad, destination URL. It has the click tracker, and at the end, it has my landing page information. So here again, I will edit and download the spreadsheet. And I will look at it in my favorite spreadsheet editor. So here we can see the destination URL. So we will do exactly the same thing as we did previously. We'll copy this into the tracking template, but we'll take out the landing page information part right here, and we'll replace it by help URL. Now, there's one thing that's different is that if I paste my final URL here in the final URL, you'll notice that the beginning is what we call escaped. In the final URL, it needs to not be escaped. It needs to look like a regular URL, so HTTP like this. Know that in your tracking template, if help URL is not at the beginning, as we saw previously, if it's anywhere but the beginning, like in this case, it will be escaped by us. So we will do the right thing. We'll put the required escaping around your help URL. You can find all the details of what do we escape and what do we not escape on the website. So let's keep doing this for a 3 URL. I'll remove this part. I'll replace it by help URL. And I'll pass this in my final URL, correcting my escaping. Same for the last one. And as we said previously, for the basic upgrade, I can keep my destination URL in the file to help me keep track of what I did if there is an error when I upload. Right. And we're done. We can save the file and go back to AdWords, and still the same process. I'll edit, upload the spreadsheet, choose the file I just changed, and upload and preview. It looks like the first basic upgrade for URL with tracking without cross-domain. We have 9 changes. I won't get into the details, but it's still the same. You're removing destination URL for each ad. You're adding a final URL, and you're adding a tracking template. Let's remain on these things to look at the stats and apply our changes. Here we go. It is done. Our ad is still the same. I can look into it, and I see my final URL, and I can see the tracking template with the LP URL mentioned at the end.
Perfect.
Back to you, Sally and Katie.
Yeah, Sally's going to take us into the advanced upgrade for, again, cross-domain redirect URLs. We're going to transition to the advanced upgrade.
Right before we do this, sorry.
Oh, that's good.
There is another type of URL that we talked about earlier. And if you're in that case, that might be interesting to you. We'll still show another type of basic upgrade for cross-domain redirects. So if, as Sally mentioned earlier, you have something that goes to another domain, or you use some kind of URL shortener or server to redirect your URL, and you don't have the possibility to put the LP URL tag, that is OK. And so as you can see on the slide, what you would do in that case is just copy your destination URL to the tracking template directly. And for the final URL, you would actually have to tell us, where is this ad going? So let's look at this in practice. And I won't get into all the detail this time, but just so you see it, this is the wrong campaign. And here you can see, yeah, I'm getting there. We can see our URL shortener. So you can see that the domain is google.com, but the domain of my URL is this goog.gl. It might be your case where you have a change of top-level domain, as Sally mentioned, so mywebsite.com going to mywebsite.co.uk. Or you use, as I said, a server that just stores your URL, and you take their URL into AdWords. So for this, what you would do, and we'll go very briefly into this one, because by now you should master the process. We'll take the file again. And here, what you want to do for this one is to copy the entire destination URL into your tracking template. That will work fine. Sorry, I'll keep here just for a sec. That will work fine because when an ad has a tracking template, we'll first take the tracking template to serve the URL. And so if there's no mention of LP URL at the ad level, that is totally OK. Your ad will still go to the same place. However, you have to specify a final URL. This is required. So here, I would have to say, OK, this URL is actually going to mywebsite.com, or wherever it is actually going. Let's say it's actually going to my hotel page. Hotel page. So here, this information was not there before. So you might ask, but how does the comparison work? This is totally OK, because the tracking template is still exactly the same as the destination URL. So your ad will still go to the same place. So here, really what you have to do is to copy your destination URL into the tracking template and then specify the final URL. And now,
Perfect. Thanks for finishing up that second basic upgrade step. I almost wanted to skip it there. But now that we did finish that, just to clarify, there are 2 different basic upgrade options for those URLs that we just covered. And now we'll move into the advanced upgrade option if you're using cross-domain redirects.
Great. Thanks, Leo and Katie. So we'll now walk into the advanced upgrade options for URLs that are using cross-domain redirect. So just to recap, what this means is that we'll be creating a shared tracking template and also setting up custom parameters as well. So why don't we dive into a demo of what that would look like?
Cool. I hope you all master of this by now. Let's look at how it looks in practice. As we said in the 2 previous parts, if you have a reference of LP URL, you can do the advanced. If you're in the case of mywebsite.com going to mywebsite.co.uk, or a website giving you a shortened URL, you cannot do the advanced upgrade. So let's look at the example of someone using a click tracker and having the URL at the end. This will be exactly as the advanced upgrade for the basic. What I want to do is first set a tracking template at my account level. So let's download my ads. And I'll take the tracking part of this, and I'll put it at the campaign level. So I'll use the part all the way to the landing page information, and I'll take this, and I'll move it to the account level. Campaign level. So campaign tracking template is in the setting part, as we said earlier. And so I can just set my new tracking template here. One thing is that I need to make sure that I'm referencing my LP URL. You will not be allowed to set a tracking template without the LP URL at your ad group campaign or account level. The other thing, as we did earlier, is that I don't want all my ad to say senior discount. I want my ad to actually say the discount of the ad. So I will use the custom parameter for this. And so this is how I set my campaign tracking template. When this is done, I won't go into the detail of the spreadsheet, but it's the same thing as what we did earlier. You have to create 3 new ads. You can pause or remove the existing one. And in the 3 new one, you'll set the final URL and the custom parameter as we just did for the basic for the URL with tracking and no cross domain. This is the exact same thing in your spreadsheet. You just create 3 new ads, set final URL, and custom parameter.
Perfect. Does that cover it for the advanced upgrade?
Yeah, and I think one important thing to point out here again is that if you are using another tool outside of AdWords to help manage and report on your campaign performance, it's really important that you speak with your tool provider first, just to make sure that they're compatible with upgraded URLs and really check in on their support model as well.
Perfect.
Yes.
Awesome. Alrighty. So again, just to make sure that we've covered everything and are very clear, we just finished up the advanced upgrade for the cross-domain redirects. So we've covered kind of 4 different types of URLs and upgrade options. You have your non-cross-domain redirect, but still have tracking parameters, basic and advanced. And then when you have cross-domain redirects, you have a basic and advanced option. Again, you can always reference this, this video after we're done. And if you want to go back over it or you missed something, want to see some more demos from Leo, you'll be able to reference this again. And on that note, we'll go ahead and move into some questions. So just to kind of start, we have a couple questions that have come in that we'll cover. And either of you guys can feel free to jump in and help answer. How can somebody make sure that they're part of the cross-domain group? If they're a little bit unsure, they're looking at their URLs and they don't know which one they would fall into, how can they make sure they're part of that cross-domain group?
Great question. I think the rule of thumb is to look at your display URL in your ad. And if it's say mywebsite.com, for example, and your URL is going to something else, the domain in your destination URL is something else, that's probably a sign that you're using cross-domain. If you really want to be sure, you can just click on that URL in your ad and look if it's going to another domain. So if your URL start with, I don't know, clicktracker.com, you click on it, and the page you end up in your browser is on your website.com. That's another domain, and so you will fall into the group of cross-domain. Okay. There is a lot of details about what AdWords consider a domain on our website, so feel free to check it out.
Okay, perfect. And it looks like we also have some other questions that have come in on the G+ page, so we'll answer those. Also, just so you guys know, if you guys have very technical questions, those will be answered in detail and later on the Hangout on Air event page. So we'll just take some of the other ones that have come in. So if somebody uses a click tracker, non-cross-domain, I will not need to make any changes. Is that correct?
So it really depends, and it's hard to answer generally speaking. In theory, if your click tracker is another company, then it is actually most likely a cross-domain. The only case where the click tracker will be on your domain is if it's a click tracker built by your own company. So as Sally mentioned in the URL tracking without cross-domain, you can have companies or advertisers that have a redirect server on their own domain. And in that case, yes, you qualify for URL with tracking non-cross-domain redirects. However, if you use a click tracker that is not owned and built by you, it is very most likely a cross-domain.
Okay, perfect. And another question that I think has come up for a lot of people is what happens if they don't proactively upgrade these? What will happen if when we actually automatically upgrade if they don't do it beforehand?
Sure, that's also a great question. That also really depends on your current URL structure. I think one rule of thumb to remember is that when we auto-upgrade your URLs for you, we're essentially going to copy over whatever's in the destination URL field into the final URL field. So this is really important, especially for those that are using cross-domain redirects in their URL. Because one rule of thumb for the final URL is that it cannot contain a cross-domain redirect. So if you do fall into that group, you do need to make manual changes in order to continue serving without any disruptions before July 1st. And hopefully this Hangout helped you understand what those steps are.
And as Sally said, if you use cross-domain, you're very likely working with a platform or with another company to help you manage your AdWords account. So make sure you talk with them because they've been working with us on this upgrade, and they might be able to help you.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Another thing that I think has come up, and it looks like we have a couple questions here about this. If a lot of people use Google Analytics for tracking and reporting. So if someone doesn't use manual UTM parameters, but they have auto tagging, should they go for a basic or advanced, or does it even matter?
Yeah, so again, if you are using auto tagging, you don't need to make any changes. You're definitely eligible for the auto upgrade, which will start July 1st. If you do want to get a head start and start upgrading your URLs today, we do have an option to expedite this auto upgrade process. And we didn't cover this in the Hangout today, but you can find more information about that in the implementation guide, which we'll show the link to after the questions are over.
Perfect. And we've talked a lot about, the different upgrade methods, and Leo had some great demos for us. Is there a specific, way that somebody should go about upgrading? Should they do it all in one go or in a couple of different batches?
So yeah, I think I covered this very briefly during the example. If you do a basic upgrade, because there's no downtime, so there's really no need to do it in batches. As long as the upgrade tells you no error, you're pretty sure that this will work. If you're doing an advanced upgrade, as we showed, because you're creating new ads, there will indeed be a review time. And so if you have a lot of ads, it's recommended you do in batches to be sure that you're restructuring your URL correctly and that you don't have any ad not serving at any point of time.
Okay, perfect. And also, just speaking of kind of the auto upgrade and when that's happening, when exactly is the destination URL option going to be retired and not available anymore?
Yeah, so it will happen in multiple waves as well. But the first step is July 1st, as we said on our blog post. In July 1st, what will happen is that you will no longer be able to create or edit ads, keywords, site links on destination URL. Every new ad or any edit to ads and keyword URL needs to be on the final URL. However, the auto upgrade will start right after.
Okay, perfect. One last question that I think will be very relevant to a lot of people who do have redirects and never had any problem before. You have your site set up in a certain way. Is now this transition going to cause any problem if somebody has redirects? Do they need to change the way their website works? Is there any other alternative?
Great question. I think not at all. The goal here is to help set your tracking in AdWords. It's not to prevent you from doing anything you were doing before. So everything you were doing before, if it was within AdWords policy, should be working in the upgraded URL world. The only thing we're trying to make easy is set your tracking information in AdWords. So if you have a website with redirects and other things, with the tracking template and the method we showed, you should be able to do it.
Okay, perfect. I know I said that was the last one, but I think we have another one that has come in from people posting on G+, and that we know is a common question. The difference between upgrading in AdWords Editor versus actually in your AdWords account. Are there any limitations to that? Do you have any recommendations on which would be easier or better?
I think one thing to note that with the current version of Editor that's out today, you actually can't upgrade your URLs. However, the next release of AdWords Editor 11.1, you will have that option. Okay. So as Leo mentioned, the steps will look a bit similar, but the interface will be a little different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's really what is your preference. If you're used to AdWords Editor, then it's maybe easier for you to use AdWords Editor. It will have the same functionality as we just showed. So all the options are possible.
Okay. Another thing that I know has come up that people have been very concerned about is, any differences for mobile. Specifically, if they still, do we still need the if mobile parameters if there is a mobile final URL?
That's a great point. So if you were using your if mobile to go to a different page or a different subdomain on mobile devices, then you don't need if mobile at all, and you can set a final URL and a final mobile URL. And I didn't go into this in the basic upgrade, but it'll still work and don't reset your stats. So you can even set a final URL, a final mobile, and a tracking template. And if the combination of those two on desktop and on mobile is the same as your destination URL, then it will also work for the basic upgrade.
Okay.
You can still use if mobile if you want in your tracking template or in your custom parameter if they're tracking that varies per devices. However, if you want to do different tracking per devices, I recommend you use value track because they have device tracking enabled without you having to jump around if mobile, if not mobile.
Great. One of the other things that we've also talked a lot about is figuring out which group you're in, what types of URLs you have, what upgrade methods to choose. So if someone is, in the position where they used to use cross-domain somewhere in their account, but they're not sure where, what's the best method for them to make sure that they have thoroughly upgraded all of their URLs in the...
So there's two steps to that answer, I think. The first is, do I know if I've upgraded everything? That's a great point. You can filter your ads by destination URL or final URL. So if you want to make sure that you've upgraded everything in your ads tab or in your keywords tab, you can filter by destination URL contains HTTP, for example. So if you have any results, it means that this ads or those keywords have not yet been upgraded. Now, to the other point of cross-domain, if by any chance you remember which company you were using or which previous domain you were using, you can also use that filter. Destination URL contains the name of that company, and that would help. If you do not, what you can do is download all of your ads, either in editor or in a spreadsheet, and then you can compare the two fields, the visible URL and the destination URL, and that might help you understand where is the ad in the cross-domain group.
Perfect. And we keep getting some good questions coming in, so we're just going to keep going for a little bit. So a good question that has come in is, do upgraded URLs apply any differently in the context of shopping campaigns or product listing ads? Will anything change for that?
Sure. So for shopping campaigns, there's two parts to shopping campaigns. You have a feed in your Google Merchant Center, and you have product groups and other things in your AdWords account. The feed part will not change at all. You already have something that I think is called offer URL and another one called AdWords Redirect. So if you have tracking in your feed, it's already in the AdWords Redirect URL. That will not change, and that will still keep working. If you were using anything in your AdWords account, like dynamic tracking URL, for example, this is moving to what we call now the tracking template. So if you have this in your account, then you can move it to tracking template today, or we'll do it for you with upgraded URLs.
And I think it might be helpful to also mention that similar will apply for dynamic search ads as well. On July 1st, we'll essentially be upgrading the fields today into the tracking template fields.
Perfect. It looks like another good one that has come in that I've also just heard prior to this Hangout. I know that it's a common question. We've mentioned it a little bit. When somebody is using value track parameters and that's all they're using, do they need to add those as custom parameters?
Not at all. This is really good. I mean, if you're using value track, the goal of value track is to give you the right information based on the impression. So that's something that you can directly move to the account tracking template without any change. It will directly apply to all of your ads and all your keyword, and the value will still be the one of the impression. The only reason to use custom parameter is if you had something that you hard-coded, that you typed yourself in the URL per ad or per keyword. In that case, the custom parameter gives you the same flexibility as value track to define the value on one hand and still have a shared tracking template.
Perfect. And kind of on that, talking about custom parameters, is there a limitation in the number of custom parameters that somebody can use?
Yes, so it's 3 per level. So that's already a lot, because that means 3 per site link, 3 per keyword, 3 per ad, 3 per ad group, and 3 per campaign. And one other thing is that custom parameters are a placeholder. So if you have multiple tracking that vary per ad, you don't have to create one custom parameter per values. The custom parameter is really a placeholder, and so it would be really easy to create a custom parameter that is ad tracking. And then in the value, you'll have all of the part of the URL that you want the tracking template to take on that ad.
Okay, perfect. Another one that has come in that I think will be good to kind of clarify for everyone. If somebody wants to move from keyword-based tracking to tracking on the ad level, is that possible to do a basic upgrade to keep the history of the keywords and ad text, or no?
So first of all, moving out of a keyword level URL is very good. It's a great thing. And so the keyword never reset their stats, so you wouldn't lose your history on the keyword. However, to do this and get out of destination URL at your keyword, there will be multiple steps. And it depends on what you have today in your ad URL. So for the keyword, what you will do is replace the destination URL entirely by a tracking template and custom parameter. But for your ad, if you have to make changes to your ad URL, you will not have a choice, and you'll have to do that one-time stat reset. It's very important to understand that this one-time stat reset will be beneficial in the long run if you want to keep updating your tracking, because once you're in the new setup with the shared tracking template, you can make any change you want without having downtime.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you guys so much. I know we went through a lot of questions, so hopefully that was helpful for everyone. There's also, you'll see that you can learn more through a link to the upgrade guide there. We also have the video and our blog. So if you have any questions, definitely check that out. And of course, you can contact the AdWords team with any questions, and use this link to watch the video again to reference it if you need some help. So thank you everyone for joining us today. It was a really great opportunity to go through this with Leo and Sally, as they are experts on this. So hopefully you found it useful, and join us next time for another upgraded URL Hangout if you want to watch the video again, and we'll be covering more topics later on.
Thanks, Katie.
Thanks.
Great.
Bye.
Thanks for your time, everyone.